What if you don't get that in love, head over heels feeling?
Should you only date to marry?
Should Christian use dating apps?
What's the best way to have a successful dating life that will carry to marriage?
Let's go.
What's up? Uncomplicated podcast episode number 5.
This isn't even all the questions.
Nope.
Today we're talking about dating. What dating
Dating.
is. What's that mean to date so that it lasts? So many people
Dating
trying
to
to get
last.
married and want to know how to do this thing right. Great questions.
Super good questions.
Got the Bible sitting right here next to me.
That's important.
But the thing is the Bible doesn't say a lot about dating.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. A different culture, a different time.
Yeah.
But some, I think, really good foundational principles that
Look,
will
man.
help us navigate
The Bible may not talk exactly
crazy
about
thing
dating,
called dating.
but it talks a lot about relationships.
Yeah.
And what's more important to God than relationships? Nothing.
Nothing.
Like the way you treat people, whether it's romantic or whether it's friendship or whether it's
Right.
marriage, whether it's figuring out if I want to marry this person, probably the most important thing going on in your life.
Yep.
And dating is a maker or breaker, right? Dating is
totally.
like your heart is out there. Maybe you're watching this right now and you're like, man, I was searching on YouTube for some advice. I don't even know you guys, but I could use some advice because I feel pretty vulnerable in my heart right now.
Yeah.
Maybe you're dating somebody and you're like, is this person the one? Man, is there such thing as the one? All right, mix these suckers up.
All right,
let's just
let's
take
do
these
this.
questions.
Let's
If we
see
can't
here.
get to all of them, we'll do a part 2. No big deal.
All right. Sounds like a good plan. All right, here we go. Question number 1.
Here, put it down like this.
Okay, we're going to
and
go
then
this
flip
way.
it over.
Oh, we're going like, you do that in
Yes.
poker? Something like
Yeah,
some card game. All right, here we go. Oh, got 2. Dating someone who isn't born again but respects and values your faith and beliefs.
All right. So we're talking about somebody here, Maria. Born again. What's that mean?
A follower of Jesus.
Most people who watch this podcast, we've noticed, are not Christians. So
And we love that.
We love that. That's
Yeah.
what this is for. So hopefully this is kind of a window into our worldview, or maybe you are a Christian. Great. What's
love that
important
too.
to you when you're a Christian? Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really the focus of your life. I mean,
100%.
Jesus calls it being born again because he's saying, you know, this is not just like a religion that you ascribe to. This is an actual starting over now.
Right.
You are born again. And so you are a new person. So this is a person, describe a potential scenario with this person right here.
Let me see. So they are a believer.
How old are they?
Let's go ahead and just say 21.
21 years old.
21 years old. They are almost done with college and they are dating someone who says like, it's cool if you go to church and you do that God thing. I respect that. It's cool,
You know what I'm thinking
but it's
of?
not for me.
Do you know what I'm thinking of right now as you tell the story?
I do.
I'm thinking of when we were dating when I was 21. You didn't even know this question was going to be the first one.
didn't.
Okay, so we're dating. We're 21.
Yep.
I've just started following Jesus.
Yes.
I had everybody to my 21st birthday party at a bar.
Yes, you
You're
did.
there along with
I
a bunch of
was.
other people. Raise a glass, shots for my birthday, and I'm like, just let you guys know, I'm following Jesus now. And everyone's like, okay. They take a shot. And my life was just changing radically. But you know what was interesting was I still, you know, when you start following Jesus, you don't change overnight.
Right.
You
It's a
change
journey.
in God's eyes overnight. You become his son or his daughter, you know, it's
You're
spiritually
seen
changed. But the
as
physical,
righteous.
practical stuff, you're
Right.
still figuring out this old life that you used to live. And so dating, it's like, okay, how do I do this right now?
Right.
You know? And so we didn't date for a long time because we were just friends.
Yeah.
And my heart had already gone through a blender. So I was kind of protecting my heart and trying to figure out, you know, and we probably didn't have the most healthy dating in the beginning. I mean, I still had a lot of crap in my life, a lot of baggage, a lot of issues. So maybe you're watching this and you're like, man, am I even ready to date? Or is the person I'm dating, are they ready? Should they be dating?
Yeah, we waited a while.
And then we finally, you know, we fell in love. We started dating. And then you almost broke up with me.
Yeah.
You were like,
100%.
and why don't you just go ahead and tell that story? Because it's too embarrassing. I might
Well,
cry.
it's embarrassing for me too. I remember, I guess I grew up just knowing the God-sized dream of what marriage could look like and
Gotcha.
what a healthy relationship looked like and the things that I felt like, not that I deserved, but that I wanted to, you know, partner my life with someone with the same values, we're on the same path together.
You had a vision.
I had a vision
of marriage.
Yeah. And I think that, like you said, you were working out your faith a little bit, and there were some things in your life that were a little bit questionable to that vision. And so I remember, and this is the embarrassing part for me, because I was a terrible communicator. Like, I couldn't even tell you where I wanted to eat back then.
Where do you want to eat? Where do you want to eat? It's fine. Well, how about we eat here? No, I don't like that place.
No,
Well,
that's me now.
I don't know. Where do you want to eat?
I just be like, wherever you
Greatest
want.
arguments in any relationship.
Wherever
Where do you
you
want to
want.
eat? Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
So I was a
It
terrible
does matter,
communicator.
guys. It matters. And
It
you should learn to
matters.
read her
Take
mind
her to sushi,
quick.
gentlemen. Take her to sushi. Okay. So there were some things in your life, and I was a terrible communicator. So I decided to write a letter because
Why is that terrible communication? I
it
feel like
was
that's good.
terrible. Well, it was helping me get to the important things without getting emotional. So
I remember why it was terrible, because you like basically mailed it to me.
no, I handed it to you.
I know, but we were sitting in a car.
we were
sitting in a car, and you're like, here you go. Read this letter.
Here's the courier.
Here's the breakup letter. Just, I'm breaking up with you.
I tried to break up with you via a
Yeah,
letter.
and
Yes.
and what did I do when I got that letter?
You gave it right back to me. You go,
100%.
no, you read it to me. And
Yeah.
I said, no, that helped me grow in my communication.
Yeah.
So I read it to you.
By the way, I still do that to this day.
I don't write letters anymore.
No, but when anybody like writes me a
Oh.
long email,
Yeah.
I'll like print it and I'll be like, here, read this to me. Because it's like communication. Can we talk about this? This is like eye
Yeah.
contact.
Yes.
Tone. Like
Tone.
I got too much history, man. I'll read something, a letter, and I'll read it the
wrong.
wrong way.
Exactly.
You send me a text message without emojis, I don't know how you're feeling. I need emojis, and if you really want to be a strong communicator, I need GIFs. I need real GIFs
Yep.
that let me know the vibe of this.
Totally.
So you would just hand me a letter.
Hand you a letter, and
Tried to break up with me over,
we
over letter.
didn't fight. We didn't we had a really great relationship, but I
Yeah.
think I just said like, hey, there are some things in your life. These are them.
Yeah.
And I don't see our lives aligning with these things that are going on in your life. And so,
Did you love me?
I loved you. I still love you, but no, I was in love with you, but it was just things that were so glaring that I was like, I can't move forward, because I knew I'd just continue to fall deeper in love with you. So I was just like, I think this is a good time to maybe just go our separate ways. And you're like, no, don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to change and to grow. And
You know what's so cool about that is that like you knew you had high expectations
yeah,
for like marriage and your life, and you had like a vision, and like you said, it was God-sized.
yeah,
Like you had high expectations on God.
yeah, I did.
And I think that's good to have high expectations on God. I think there's a difference between high expectations and wrong expectations.
Totally.
I think sometimes we
Yep.
think God's supposed to deliver on some things.
Yeah.
And, I think we get into the conversation of like, how come I'm not married yet? I'm too old. Or how come I haven't found the one yet? Or my soulmate's out there. It's like, dude, you might have wrong expectations.
Sure.
First of all, like there's nowhere in the Bible that says the one is out there for you. I'm
Right.
sorry.
Mhm.
I mean, just do the math. There's not an equal number of guys and girls on the planet. Like
Yeah.
you got to think about that. I don't know this language of soulmate and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, man. Do you think that there's two people out there floating around and they got to like find each other? I mean, what do you think?
Especially women, like it's a romantic idea.
Yeah.
Right? Like it sounds good, it sounds special, it sounds great. But
It's possible.
it's possible.
Yeah.
But I think marriage, if you go into it with just the emotional feeling of or dating, like, oh, this is my soulmate, marriage is so much more than a feeling, because your love
Yeah.
changes and
Yeah.
it grows and
Yeah.
it feels different in
Yeah.
different seasons. So if you're just looking for that soulmate feeling, you're probably going to be disappointed.
And as I hear you talking about that, it's like, dude, the pressure is now on that person being your soulmate.
Right.
And it's like, I have to find the right person when that is not.
Right.
You have to be.
You have to be the right person.
You got
Absolutely.
to. Are you the type of person you're looking for is looking for?
Right.
Like, are you the kind of person that
Right.
is healthy, secure, and would be good in a relationship? Don't look for the soulmate. Look for your soul to develop
Yeah.
to a place where it could be in a relationship that is healthy and good. Because you know what? Relationships that don't end in marriage end in
Heartbreak. Yeah.
So every
Pain.
relationship you go into, you're like, you're gambling, dude. Like
the word dating.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know when you hear the word dating, if that gives you a smile on your face or just makes your stomach turn a little bit because there's so much pain. If it doesn't end, like you said, in marriage, your heart's broken.
So what's this question again? The question is dating someone who isn't born again or respects and values your belief. Well, if you're not a Christian, I would just say this. Do you have a vision for your life of where you want to go?
Yeah.
And if you feel good about that and that feels, from a Christian worldview, I can paint a pretty good portrait of what I think God wants for my life because he's a good God and he's kind of made that clear. So I can aim for that. Your story is like, I aimed for that. You weren't, it's not like we were married.
Right.
We were dating.
Yeah.
And you're like, look, I love this guy, but he's not going the same direction as me. So you either got to get on board or get off, bro, because this is, basically, and that's a good thing, I think, when you're dating. You're 21 years old, you're graduating college, like you were in a place to get married, and I wasn't the fit. And you were out of my league. You had strong character. And no, you did. Like, I'll tell the story about how I met you. Like, I was a brand new Christian, not a fan of Christians at all. I hate to say this, but I made a vow to God that I would not. I was like, God, I will follow you, but I ain't hanging out with any Christians, all right? I don't want any Christian friends. Make a long story short, God does not like to try to someone boss him around. Right. So God's like, well, we ain't playing by your rules, fool. Playing by mine. So he sent me to Bible college to be only around Christians. I had to live there.
Yep.
When
in
I
the
went
dorms.
I went from living in a house with a bunch of my friends who weren't Christians and partying all the time and having a great group of friends who I'm still friends with to this day, but to living in dorms with a bunch of Christians and being like annoyed, like, just so insecure, so much ego. Like, who are these Christians? Like, what kind of music do they listen to? I met you, we like the same kind of music, and I was like, oh, maybe there's something here. You like John Legend, I like John Legend. Remember, his first album
Usher,
came out.
I liked Usher.
You're like, last week I was at
I was front row at the Usher concert. You're like, no, you weren't.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, yes, I was.
Like, Kanye West opened for Usher. You're like, you gotta hear about this guy John Legend. I was like, dude, I just got his album. So we had like a whole connection there. I thought you were cool, but then and I thought you were beautiful. But after a while, we became such good friends. That's so cool about dating is if you do it right.
Yeah.
And you really, I don't want to get too much into the sex conversation today, but sex sure does complicate things.
Sure.
Because it kind of creates a different kind of intimacy. It creates a soul intimacy. When you can get an intimacy, you can explore intimacy on a level of friendship first. It's going to make things less complicated.
100%.
People always talk about sexual chemistry or whatever, but dude, like, you're not having sex 24/7.
Yeah.
Right? So what kind of chemistry do you have when you're not in bed? And there was like, man, you and I had a chemistry.
Yeah, we totally did.
It was pure. It was friendship. And like, I had to decide if I was going to trust you or not with my heart because I was coming out of a relationship. My heart was beat up and I was nervous about. And we were playing ping pong one day at school.
Yep.
In the area. I love how you're smiling at me, by the way. And I love when you smile at me like that. And people just clicking out of this YouTube. People putting that throw up in mouth emojis in the comments are like, get out of here, guys.
I love talking about our love.
So, we're playing ping pong, and you told this really embarrassing story about this guy. You know the story I'm telling, right?
Yeah.
And the guy's name is, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to say it.
I never told you.
You never told me.
I never told you.
And I was like, who is this guy? You know, and you wouldn't tell me. And I remember thinking like, dude, she won't even like talk about this guy behind his back who I don't know. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, that's a safe place. That's a woman of character. I literally thought in my mind, verbatim, this is a woman of character. Like, this is the kind of person I want to be around. This is the kind of person I could trust. And so,
I think I beat you in ping pong that day too.
Yes, you beat me in ping pong. But the thing is just I was so attracted to your character. And I just wonder if like this person here who's, wants to date somebody who's not a Christian and they're a Christian, but respects their values and beliefs. I mean, look, man, at the end of the day, like, what direction are you going?
Yeah.
I mean, people change, dude. People change.
People grow.
You and I have been married how many years?
16 this month.
Yeah, 16 years.
Yeah.
This month?
Yeah.
What day is it?
Today.
Oh my gosh, you're right. It's coming up. Okay, so we're getting married. We've been married 16 years, and you've changed a lot, babe.
Oh my gosh. So
I've changed a lot.
We're like different people.
When you don't have that picture of your life like you were talking about, you're gonna conform into something, right? Mm-hmm. So Romans chapter 12 says that we could conform to the patterns of the world
Right.
if we're not careful. But he says with Jesus' help, we will not conform into something that we're not. We will transform into who he's always intended us to be. So you're becoming a better version of yourself, and you're becoming more like love and like Jesus. I am, hopefully, too.
Right.
And over the course of 16 years, we're going the same direction. You're changing and I'm changing, but we're becoming better people. This is like, that's how God brings you together.
Yeah.
But this person, like, I don't have a lot of hope for you, because I hate to say it, but if you're falling in love with somebody who's not a Christian, I mean, that happens.
Right.
And there's no guarantee for your future, because that person's going to change.
Right. And if they're not becoming more like Jesus, it's probably not the best recipe for your life.
I mean, shoot. I mean, that's all advice I got.
Yeah.
I would say think about Maria's story where she tried to break up with me. Just think about it.
Maybe you should write a letter.
Yeah, I feel like I'm doing all the talking. Sorry, here we go.
Okay.
Next one.
It's good.
What if you don't get that in love, head over heels feeling?
Oh, I think this one's from a girl. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But our culture has, like, I feel in so many ways, like, ruined relationships. The movies we see, the shows we watch, like, it's all about the romance. It's all about the feelings. So I feel
there's
like
some people out there who are into those rom-coms right now.
Yeah,
Don't shatter it for them.
Well, that's not real life, guys, you know? And
I feel like we've lived a version of that. What do you mean?
I mean, in so many ways, but I think sometimes we go to the in love feeling is really more a soundtrack and like flowers and
if you get into
chocolate.
love as just a feeling right now, you're going to hurt my feelings. All right, Maria? I thought you were in love with me.
I'm 1,000% in love with you. But I think sometimes, like, we just have to be careful that our feelings are real, and God gives us emotions, and that's a feeling that we want. But sometimes I think, I don't know, I'm on this tangent.
If you're dating or if you're married, clarify.
If you're
just dating and you're asking, I don't really have in love feelings.
Oh, well, you should ask yourself some questions about the person you're dating.
Yeah. If you're married,
yeah,
that's different.
It's different.
Have you ever been out of love with me when we were married?
I remember at a really dark moment, I think it was year 7, we had just gone through 2 miscarriages, and I was on all this medication, and I had all these medical issues going on.
A couple blood transfusions.
It was a really rough time. I do remember thinking, like, I know I love him in here, but I don't feel it. I think I remember telling you that was probably the most devastating day for you. Anyway,
year 7's a real thing, guys.
Year 7 was a real thing for us. And yeah, I didn't have those feelings, but I knew that I loved you. But I could say that I didn't feel like I felt those feelings.
And what was the cause of those feelings?
For me, it was medication that was causing depression. But yeah, so you're right. This is someone dating, not married. What if you don't have those in love feelings? I mean, what would your advice be to this person?
I think you answered it right. I think, like, you know, if you're married to somebody, get ready for ups and downs in your feels.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're dating and you're like, I don't know how the hell over here right now. Like, dude.
You also thought this was a girl.
Here's your chance. Here's your chance to get out. Right? Like, sometimes I see people fighting when they're just dating, and I'm like, guys, that's...
Yeah, I remember being in church once, and you were up preaching, and I was sitting in the front row, and there was this young couple behind me.
Oh, I know the story, yeah.
And they were just, like, fighting the whole time. Like, everyone else is just having this good time. Everyone's laughing, and I just hear them behind me. and I was just like, and they're young. These kids are probably, like, 19, 20 years old.
Yeah.
And I wanted to turn around, like, with the mother's heart that I have and be like, guys, you should really break up, because this obviously isn't working, and I didn't know them very well.
Why didn't you say that? You should have.
I probably would now, just being older and not caring as much, but I did. I remember the same couple, they were going to move on to another church, and they were so gracious to come, like, they wanted to say goodbye, and I prayed with them, and I said this, and I can't believe I said this, but I'm glad I did. They came to me, and I, hugged them, prayed with them, and I was like, hey, if you two break up, will you make sure you come back? And I told the girl, I was like, I really hope you come back if this doesn't work out.
Oh my gosh.
And that's such a terrible thing to say.
Yeah, but you know what? Most relationships end up in breakups.
I think I could just,
like
I had
every
a hunch.
relationship except for your marriage ends up in a breakup, right? So like, I think you should go into relationships with the end in mind.
Absolutely.
Like
that's the best piece of advice. Someone needs to hear that today.
All
you
right.
need to go into a relationship with the end in mind.
So with them, it's like you're likely gonna break up.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be like what are the odds you guys are really gonna stick together?
Well, this was like, you guys don't have fun together.
Yeah.
Like, let me help you out. If you can't see this for
Yeah.
yourself, I can see from a very outside perspective that there is
but you know, people
a lot of strife
are
here.
lonely and bored,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of pressure on people to be in relationships,
Totally.
which is this is not biblical or healthy. Like,
Right.
I mean, not everybody needs to get married.
100%.
You know, I mean, marriage is the biggest decision of your life. It impacts generations, kids,
Yeah.
everything about your life. Not everybody needs to make that decision. It says Jesus said in Matthew 19, check this out. I'm not kidding. Some of you aren't mature enough to get married, so you should stay single for your whole life.
Yeah.
Like, not everybody should be getting married. It says in like Corinthians 7, like that singleness is a gift from God too.
Totally.
Like, Jesus straight up says, like, you could do more with your life if you're single. Like, everything in your life gets rearranged and prioritized. I get up every day and I have to think about how to take care of you, how to take care of our family, how to put you guys first before me. I'm going to get to heaven and God's going to say, first thing he's going to ask me is like, you know, what'd you do with my son Jesus? Were you his follower? I gave you my son. How did that go? And the second thing he's going to do is, what'd you do with that daughter Maria of mine that I gave you? I'm going to answer for you like pretty quick. And so I need to be ready, the end in mind for that.
Yeah.
Man, if you don't need to get married, dude.
Yeah.
You don't need, marriage is the biggest, I think, idol in our nation.
100%.
Everybody doesn't need to get married, dude.
Yeah. I think marriage too, people think of the feelings and the love and that's part of it. And that's a beautiful part of it. But getting to the end in mind, if your end in mind is marriage, which hopefully it is, so you're not just getting your heart broken over and over again, that's going to require a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah.
Like when I hear marriage, like it's almost synonymous with sacrifice. Like it's daily dying to yourself. And like you said, you're thinking of the other person. You're putting their needs before yours. You're doing that together. So there's a lot of laying your life down.
Well, that's the biblical illustration
Right.
of Jesus and the church is a marriage, a bride and groom, the church being the groom. The bride, and Jesus being the groom. And that's because when you see marriage, you go, oh, that's my relationship supposed to be with God.
Right.
Is that he's faithful to me when I'm not faithful to him. He lays his life down for me and makes sacrifices, like you said, to show me he loves me, and he keeps serving me even though I keep messing up. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I think, you know, that's exactly right. So what do you do if you don't have that in-love feeling? Well, if you're dating and you ain't feeling it, I wouldn't stay dating just because
it's not going to get better, ladies and gentlemen.
I wouldn't stay dating with somebody just because you don't, you know, you're lonely or you're, you know what I mean? You know, people, you know, the lie people say, well, I've invested so much time already. Right. If I break up, I'm a failure. That lie is pushing people into marriages. Yeah. And it's like, you didn't have to do that.
I always tell people this because I feel like we have a lot of people that come to us for advice on their dating life or, you know, getting married. And I always say it is way better because I think people are lonely. There's a lot of lonely people out there. And I say it is so much better to be lonely than to marry the wrong person.
100%.
Like your life will be so much more full and happy alone.
I said that to someone the other day. I don't know if I should marry this person or not. And I was like, well, then don't. Like, what the heck?
100%. And
they're like, well, there's nothing worse than being alone. And I said exactly what you said. Yeah, there is something worse than being alone. Marrying the wrong person. That's a nightmare. Yeah. That's a nightmare.
Yeah.
All right, next one. I'm getting passionate about this.
All
next one. Should Christian use dating apps? Yeah, sure.
Should you slide into those DMs?
Yeah, why not? Well, how else are you going to meet people?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if you feel like you're ready to get, you know, well, let's talk about what dating. What's the purpose of dating? Let's do that.
Let's do that.
What's the purpose of dating, Maria?
Purpose of dating.
My son comes to you. He's 12 years old. He's got a crush on a girl.
Oh, gosh.
I want to date her,
This is
Mom.
our life, guys.
What is the... He hasn't.
No. But we have a son who's 12, and I'm sure this question is coming.
I'm sure he has crush on girls. But, you know, what do they say? Your daughter comes to you. You know.
I go back to your room. No, I'm just kidding.
Go talk to Dad. That's what you say. My daughter comes to me.
Yeah.
Dad, I want to date this guy, right? well, what's the purpose of dating? Let's
Right.
get into that definition, because we got two definitions. We got the world says is dating,
Right.
and then we got how God says to handle relationships.
Right. So the purpose of dating, I would say my own definition would be a season of trying to figure out if this is the person that you want to marry.
Yeah.
And I think if you approach it that way and slowly that way, you'll find that out pretty quickly.
It's almost like an interview process.
Yeah.
If you want to is it healthy to date just for the sake of dating?
I would say heck no.
Yeah. That's what the world says, though. The world's like, I'm going to be in this relationship.
I like this person. I'm going to hang out with them.
You know what people say is, this is how you know this relationship's not going to last. You ready to hear it? You ready to hear this one? I hear this one. And they write them a card.
Uh-oh.
Little romance card. I've never said this before.
Okay.
I'm going to regret it. And the card is all about how on Valentine's Day.
Oh, how I know what you're going to say.
I'm a better person when I'm with you.
It's all about how they make you feel.
Make me feel this way. And I hear people like that, and I'm like, bro, like you're just a leech, just sucking off their affirmation for you. Like, you like yourself better when you're with them, and then when they when they stop delivering on that and things get tough, you're going to go love leech on somebody else.
Yikes.
And that's
so
just
true,
awful.
Though.
And people use this permission in society just to be like love leeches. I just coined that term right now.
Love leeches. I like it.
And it's just like, yeah. And like, you're using them and they're using you, and you're making each other feel better about each other. And that's the exact opposite of what healthy relationships
100%.
are. It's, I lay my life down for you.
Right.
So I lay my life down for you. You lay your life down for me. Oh, we got something good going on.
Right.
We got a bridge. We're getting somewhere. Even if I just lay my life down for you, we're still going to be okay.
Right.
Because we'll make it. But man, when I do this and you do this, man, that's something special. Yeah. But it's the exact opposite of the, and everyone's got these broken, busted hearts. Oh. Hearts gone through a wood chipper because they've been leached off of people for so long, and they turn around and they bring that pain into the next thing. And
yeah, isn't that the worst though? I mean, I think we both had failed and painful breakups in our life.
Yeah, for sure.
That just devastated you, and you know, I know I felt worthless at many times after breakups, and how beautiful would it have been had we didn't have any of that baggage to bring into our marriage, because it is baggage, and we work through it.
Have talked about, we wish we would have met each other earlier, but then the truth is we both weren't in a place where we should have met each other earlier.
Right.
You know, meeting each other earlier probably would have sabotaged our relationship totally.
Yeah.
And God knew what he was doing, because I wasn't in a good place. I would have ruined a good thing. You had also had pain and hurt from your past that you weren't ready. So the question is, should Christians use dating apps? I would say figure out what the point of dating is, because if you're doing it to just because you're lonely, you know, which there's nothing wrong with companionship. I mean, God looked at Adam in the garden and said it's not good for man to be alone. The first wrong thing that went in the world wasn't sin. Right. It was loneliness. It's not good for man to be alone. It's not good. But that relationship can be filled with God. I know people are not going to agree with what I say right now, but that relationship could be filled with God. It could be filled with 100%. Friends. You know, it could be filled with, you know, you don't have, loneliness is awful, but it's also temporary. Yeah. You're not lonely for eternity, you know, and there is community available and friends where, you know, I would be careful. You know, people make the mistake of marrying the wrong person or dating too many people, trying to fill a void of loneliness, that you need to be real with yourself about that. Yeah. And that's all I'm going to say. I know that's an insensitive thing to say. Oh, easy thing for you to say, Justice. You've been married 16 years. You have a best friend sitting there next to you. She laughs at all your stupid jokes. You know, she still smiles at you. You know, I get it. But like at the end of the day, Jesus never got married. Yeah. He turned out okay. Yeah. Right? Jesus never got married. He told people probably should think about not getting married. Paul, one of the other most influential writers of the New Testament, changed the world. He wasn't married. Right. He said, I wish you guys were unmarried like me, because you could break he said that. Yeah. Because there's a gift to singleness for some people. Right. Not everybody. Most people get married, but there's an idol in our world about getting married. And so I would just say this, like, if you're looking to get married and you feel like that's what the dating app's for, yeah, why not?
I guess one thing we can tag to this is like, make sure it's a good dating app, because lots of dating apps. I
don't know much about dating apps.
I don't either, but you know, the young people tell me that there's different types of dating apps. There's the like swiping where it's more of like a hookup app.
I meet somebody at church.
But I do know people at our church that have met on Christian dating apps, and
Yeah.
they've had a great marriage. So I think they
I know
work.
multiple people have.
Yeah, me
But
too.
if you're not in church, I would jump into that first, because there's a whole bunch of people there that are trying to follow Jesus. And I mean, shoot, people are like, you're recommending people to go to church to find a date?
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah, where else are
The
you going to
best
go?
place to find them. Yeah.
For sure. And then you have like pastors and leaders in your life who can help you and play a little matchmaker for you.
Yeah. And it's really great. I think
You're a matchmaker. I've seen you set some people
I
up,
love
Maria.
matchmaking people. No, but really, I think when you do meet someone at church, like you have people that you hopefully love and trust at your church. And so you could be like, hey, I'm thinking about this person. Like, give me your thoughts on this. Like getting counsel from people that you love and trust and that have been before you.
Where else are you going to get that?
Yeah, you need that in your life.
You meet a guy at a bar or a club. We're going to go to the bartender, the club promoter. Hey, I'm thinking about dating Johnny. What do you think?
So anyway, that's all.
He's not going to be able to tell you. But you go meet somebody at a church. You got his network of friends.
Right.
And also look at the people he's hanging out with, dude. You hang out with people who go to church. That's saying something about where you're putting your time and your values.
Right.
You know, that's a whole different direction you're going. So what's the next question?
Totally. Can missionary dating ever work?
What's missionary dating?
This is a very Christianese term.
Christianese.
It means that you are a believer and you're dating someone that's not, but your hope and your plan is that you would get them to love Jesus too and become a follower of Jesus.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
That's a terrible idea.
That's manipulative too.
It is. I think, I think sometimes we can think we want to date somebody's potential.
Oh my gosh. You nailed it.
Yeah. You see someone and you're like,
Oh
okay,
my gosh.
they check 5 of the 6 boxes.
How many girls out there?
Right? How many girls have boxes out there? Tell me in the chats. Do you have boxes? Yeah, you have boxes. Like they have to check the boxes. Yes.
Oh my! I see some of the sweetest girls. I'm gonna regret saying this. Dating the biggest losers. I'm like, dude, why are you dating that guy? You're awesome. Like you're beautiful. You're a woman of character. Why are you dating this dude who's 30 years old? He still lives at home with his mom. He plays 80 hours a week of video games. He goes to community college for 6 units. You know, he doesn't pay rent to his parents because he's driving a fancy Audi in the driveway, and he'd rather have a car payment because he can afford it. He works at, some lame job, or he's trying to make it as a professional, video game guy or whatever. I should knock that because that's a real industry. But I'm just saying, it's just like, dude, well, when he makes it and when he moves out and when he does it, it's like, dude, then date him.
Yeah.
Don't date him while he's potential. You date potential, you know what you get? Potential.
Right. I think if I could, maybe that's you. Maybe you're watching this and you're like, well, he checks all the boxes except like the God box.
Oh God.
Anytime a girl comes to me and she's like, Pastor Maria, like there's this guy, and I'm like, okay, what is the question? Do you know the question I always ask him?
Yeah.
I don't say like, oh, does he believe in God? I'm like, does he love Jesus?
Yeah.
Because so many times we want to be with someone, we want to be in a relationship, and we'll check boxes that we shouldn't even check.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he believes in God. And it's like, no, he has to love Jesus because
we're getting really into our own advice here, but I can pretty much stand on this one. Can you date someone who's not a Christian? Dude, if he's not following Jesus, who's he following?
Yeah.
Maybe he's following his heart. What happens when his heart changes? Not a good idea. It's not going to be good for you. All
right.
I don't feel it anymore. Well, there you go. So I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. We love you, friends.
Yes. We're trying to help, honestly. Yeah. That is the heart. I think I've
seen so many girls date these guys. I'm like, dude, that guy's not ready. There was a guy the other day who we were talking to, and great guy. And you know what he said? He said, I want to date this girl. Because, guys come to us all the time. People ask us, it's kind of weird, but people ask us, it sounds like a cult. But they're like, do you think I'm ready to date that person or not? Which is awesome.
So healthy.
Yeah. Awesome. I had
we need counsel
2 couples.
Of wisdom around you.
This couple was walking into pre-marriage counseling this last week, and I was walking out of the office, and they were walking in, and they were meeting with our pastoral staff. And I said, how much better are you going to feel after you've gone through some premarital counseling, and you got these 2 people that know so much about marriage and life and have been married, can say, thumbs up, I think you're ready. Aren't you going to feel more confident going into the biggest decision of your life after having some counsel and some help? And so, anyways, I don't know where I was going with that. I was just thinking about, I don't know where I was going with that.
All right, next question. Should you only date to marry? We already answered that, right?
Yeah. I hope my daughter doesn't date 30 guys before she meets the person she's going to marry. I hope she holds on and dates the person she's going to marry.
I will say this to this question. Should you only date to marry?
I know what I was gonna say. Sorry, let me interrupt
Okay.
you. This guy came to me the other day, and he's like, do you think I'm ready to marry,
yeah.
date this person? Or whatever? He goes, because I'm still in between jobs.
Ah.
And I was like, wow, that's how you're thinking.
Yeah.
You're thinking, I want to be in a place to take this girl out
Right.
and really, present myself as a candidate. You know what I
Right.
mean? I don't want some girl who's a fixer who's going to come and treat me. I mean, I hate to say this. There's people out there, guys and girls, you're dating these fixers
Yeah.
and you're trying to fix them up. And I'm like, dude, you're not the fixer. Jesus is the fixer.
Right.
You got a Messiah complex. You're trying to change somebody. That's not how this should go.
That's not our job.
And man,
Yeah.
dude,
Well, speaking to your question earlier about our kids, like what if
Yeah.
our kids came to us? They've not asked to date, but I wanted to get this in their little heads very early on that I don't know if they'll remember me telling them when they were 5 years old what dating was for.
Yeah.
But I began to have those conversations because our hearts
my daughter's
are
like 6. She's already thinking about boys.
Yeah. This boy likes me and this boy likes me. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We have to guard our hearts. We have to guard their hearts as their parents. But I told Logan the other day, because he did kind of ask about, like, well, what's dating age in our house? And I was like, hey, are you ready to have a wife? I was like, are you ready to provide for and be responsible for like another human being before God? And he was like, no. And I was like, when you are, that's probably a good time to start dating. So let's revisit that conversation in a couple of years.
And that's why dating's not in the Bible.
Right.
Because dating is, how old's dating? 200 years?
Yeah.
I mean,
very old.
it's only a couple centuries old. I mean, around the world, the way marriage has worked for millennia is two families arrange a compatible relationship that is going to choose to be together for the rest of their life.
Right.
These families are involved because businesses are involved, grandkids are going to be involved, reputations of the community are going to be, there's a lot going in, especially in Eastern cultures. Some of our closest friends, George and Serena, their parents are from India, and they explained the whole thing about an arranged marriage to me one time. They've been married, 50-something years. One of the greatest marriages I know. And I'm like, hold on. Your parents set you guys up? They're like, yeah. I'm like, what was that like? And they went on to tell me, like, you know what? When we first got married, like, we didn't know, but, they could have backed out, but they trusted their parents. And they're married to this day, and they have a thriving, healthy marriage. But the thing is that just like dating has a different definition in the world, right? Which is just like companionship or like what you have to give me and what I have, At the same time, like, the world sees dating as just dating for the sake of dating.
Right.
That's not how we handle relationships in God's worldview. You're way more, you guard your heart and you guard the heart of others.
Right.
So it says in Proverbs 4, you got to guard your own heart because that's the wellspring of life, right? And the thing about marriage's definition is, in the world, marriage is, anybody can officiate my wedding, right? Yeah. Like I get it all the time. It's like, my best friend officiated my wedding. I was like, all right, cool. Oh, my professor at school officiated my wedding. Oh, it's like anybody just officiates weddings these days, which is really says a lot, I think. I'm not saying that's wrong to do that,
right?
But I'm saying that means you don't have a pastor.
Right.
So that's interesting, right? You want a Christian ceremony where somebody stands there and says, I'm leading you in a covenant, not with this person as much as I'm leading you in a covenant with God.
Right.
So the world goes, somebody stands there as we make promises to each other. But God says, no, marriage is not a promise to her that you'll take care of her. Son, marriage is a promise to me that you'll take care of her. That's a whole different thing. Here's my vows. I love you. I've always loved you since the day I saw you. Great. Awesome. When I officiate a marriage, I'm like, go ahead. Make your vows to each other. I love it. Romantic. Great. Let's use it as a voiceover in the recap video montage of the wedding ceremony, right? But at the end of the day, those vows aren't important.
Right.
The vows that you make to God that you will take care of his daughter or his son and that you won't give up on them and that you'll be faithful, that's marriage.
Right.
It's a covenant with God. And so
it's a covenant with each other, but primarily the first covenant is to God.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and in that order, like you said. So, so I always do the real vows too, like sickness and in health, man, the whole thing, no matter what. And for richer, for poor. And so anyways, all that to say is you got to figure out if what marriage is going to be for you.
I think you used a word that I think we could camp out on a little bit. It was just like guarding. You know, when you're dating, people sometimes like run in with their heart wide open and their arms wide open, and
not good.
Yeah, I think like you got to learn to trust that person. You got to get to know that person, and then I needed that card to see where I was going with it.
I was just saying, like, should you only date to marry?
Oh, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
No, you're saying you got to guard, right?
Yeah, just guarding like your heart, guarding their heart.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, I don't know. I remember going on, just getting my heart broken a bunch and not being in a good place or a healthy place. And then finally like making a decision, like, I need to just spend some time alone because I'm not at a place where I could be a benefit to someone else.
That's mature.
And I went on, it was a long season of not dating. And then I finally was like, okay, I feel like I'm healthy. And I went out with a person and they were awesome. Great guy, loved Jesus. And like, I just knew one date in, he was a great person, but this wasn't for us. And it was so easy to just be like, hey.
Yeah, but I met that guy. He's really ugly. So that's easy for you. You know what I mean? You're like, I have a vision for my life, and it's a dude who doesn't have wooden teeth. So that's what it was.
Anyway, but you know what I mean? When you don't just like throw your heart into something, it's so easy. Like, let's guard your heart. Let's guard mine. Let's see how this goes. And if it's not, we don't feel like this is what's that vision ahead of me. Let's just not make it complicated.
We gotta
because
guard
as
our own
soon
heart.
as we just throw our heart into something, like we complicate it so quickly.
Yeah, dude. It says in Jeremiah, what's more untrustworthy and deceitful than a man's own heart? Because our heart, like the heart wants what the heart wants. Yeah, and a lot of times that's selfish, and it's so selfish that it hurts other people. Talk about guarding your heart. I had a friend the other day. He was engaged to this girl, or was really serious about this girl. They broke up, and he's still friends with her. Yeah. And the other day he was like, oh man, this is going to burn somebody right now. But he was like, yeah, man, I went out with them and did this or whatever. And I'm like, 6 months ago, you guys broke up. You guys aren't together anymore? No, but we're still friends. I'm like, she's not into you, dude. He's like, I know. But, you know, I'm like, so you're over here hanging on like there's still a chance and you're still hanging out with her? I was like, bro, guard your own heart.
Yeah.
I told him, I was like, bro, you need to guard your heart. You need to separate from that. Get healed up from this breakup and be good for the next thing, man. You can't be hanging on to this thing that's not going to happen. You know, and that was like a year ago maybe.
Yeah.
And they're still not back together. And I'm like, man, your heart's too important. Man, whoever's listening to this, dude, your heart's so important. That's why God says to guard it. He loves you. He wants to protect you. If you will trust him to maybe wait, if you'll trust him to do it God's way, he'll bring somebody into your life if that's right at the right time when you're ready. But, dude, you jump the gun. You don't protect your heart. Man, it's like a dad who's looking at his daughter or looking at his son. He's like, I'm trying to help, but you keep making these bad decisions. And I'm trying to tell you, like, trust me. Wait.
Yeah. I even think with our own story, like, we were friends for about 7 months before we started dating.
Yeah.
And I think, like, that was almost because we had this, like, instant, deep connection that was electric.
And we didn't sleep together.
No.
So
until after we were married.
That helps. Right. And that helps.
But even in our friendship, it was like our friendship was growing and deepening, and it could have gotten romantic at times. And we were just like, you know what this friendship brings to like the joy it is to our lives. We rather have that than like sabotage it. Right. Because so many times
you're totally right.
You go there and it sabotages everything. And we just kept like pushing our emotions away a little bit to guard the friendship that we were growing.
And it made our friends kind of weirded out.
It did.
They're like, you know, what's going on? Are you guys going to do it? And it's like, I don't think you get it. I'm guarding her heart. I'm guarding my heart. I don't want to mess this up.
Yeah. And I think we would have even said like our friendship was so strong that like we didn't need, we thought like it
but
going
you just
romantic.
wanted to kiss me so bad.
You wanted to kiss me so bad.
All right, here we go. Last question. Last question. What's the best way to have a successful dating? Well, by the way, whoever wrote these cards, wonderful handwriting. I'm having a hard time reading this one, though.
Let me read it. What's the best way to have a successful dating life that will carry to marriage?
It will carry to marriage. All right, what's the recipe for success? What's got to go? You're making a successful marriage, it's going to last. So what do you got to, what's you got to be in there? I think one thing you got to have in there, obviously, is you got to be going the same direction.
Yep.
Which is following Christ. You're both following Christ. Bam. That's number one. Number two?
I think you said like guarding each other's hearts. Like if you continue to.
Love waits.
Huh?
Love can wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think guarding each other's heart, but like that will help you develop the muscle of laying your life down for someone.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about that other person and protecting them and their self, I don't know, like their who they are, how they feel, all of that, that's going to get some practice into you about thinking about laying your life down for someone.
Song of Psalms, chapter 3, the wisest man who's ever lived, Solomon.
Yep.
He says, do not waken love before it's time.
Yeah.
Do not awaken love. Don't wake love up until it's time. Because love's powerful, man. Love will make you do the craziest things in the world, right?
Yeah.
Fear will make you do crazy things, but love will really make you do crazy things. Man, I think about how much I love God, and I feel like there's like nothing I wouldn't do for him, right? I feel like how much I love you. I feel like, man, how much I love my daughter. Dude, I already look at my daughter, and I'm like, I hope I don't have to do time for her. But your boy will go to state penitentiary for this young girl if I need to. I'll do anything for her. And that's the thing is like, you don't want to waken up that love. It's so powerful.
So powerful.
And God is love, and that's like when you are living your life and sacrificing your life for others, like, man, love is so powerful. It'd make you do crazy things. And you don't want to awaken that love at 12, man.
Yeah.
You don't want to awaken that love when you're not ready, So only you know that. It takes maturity. People don't want to hear the mature answers a lot of time, but the truth is like, you want the recipe? Wait till the right time. You know what I mean? If you're not ready, don't do that. So what else?
I think too, counsel, right? Like getting people, I think when they say carry into marriage, like premarital counseling was one of the best things I think we did to set up our marriage. And I think if we get in a rhythm in life where we're seeking counsel from people that we trust and that we know, bring people into that. Like it will not disappoint you when you're trying to make decisions and navigate your emotions alone. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
And so
dudes, okay, here's the default nature of any dude.
Yeah. Give them some advice.
Every dude out there wants to be king. That's what dudes want. Dudes want to be the king of their own castle. They want to have independence. They want to be in charge. They don't want their mom telling them what to do anymore. Just doing their laundry. That's it. They don't want accountability necessarily. They want to just be independent.
Sure.
And that is the sinful, selfish nature of a man, right? And women too, but men for sure. It is not natural for a man to go to another man who is further along in life and be like, will you mentor me? Right. It's not natural to be like, hey, pastor, would it be possible to meet with you and run some things by you? It's not, men don't want to go to life group. They want to run that solo thing. Yeah. And when things get hard, I've noticed that men especially pull back. They're just saying, I'm going to dig down deep and I'm going to pull myself up by my bootstraps and I'm going to grind this thing out. And like men tend to have this independence that just sabotages them from what they really need, which is people around them to help. Yeah. And so when there's someone in you're dating somebody, and let's say you're a young lady or an old lady and you're watching this and you're dating this dude who's a maverick, who's a rogue, who's solo, who doesn't have good friends in his life and doesn't have a mentor or a pastor or any Christian leader or authority over him or helping him, that's a danger zone. Yeah. And it should not be attractive. Right. For some reason, I feel like that's more attractive though. People see that confidence and they see that.
Oh, I don't think it is.
Well, I tell you what should be attractive is humility.
Yeah.
Is the man who says, hey, I don't have it all figured out. Yeah. And I'm not going to gamble with our future. Right. So I'm going to get somebody to help me, and I'm going to serve at church. I'm going to be in a life group around Christian friends. I'm going to have some eyes on this. Yeah. Because, I'm telling you, you can see, anybody who's been there can see pretty quick. Like, you see the guys that he's hanging out with? Yeah. Those are immature guys. You don't want to date somebody who hangs out with those jokers. Oh, you see his inconsistency in life? Oh, you see his temper, or you see the way he spends his money? Those are not that's not evidence of a good situation there.
Yeah.
And then you get into, but you're dating somebody and that man has that authority and help. That should be so appealing.
It's so like, there's so much security in that. You've always had that, like since before we were dating. I remember you having mentors in your life. You'd go meet with them. What are the things in my life that I need to grow in? What is like that for me? I think even going into our dating relationship was such a foundation that like, this guy doesn't think he's the king of the world, and he's not gonna like just trample on me and step on me, and I don't, just all these things.
Well, pastors have become the spiritual dads to families, because back in the day, if you wanted to marry somebody, you had to go ask their dad, right? Yeah. And the dad would be like,
I think they still do that for the most part.
Yeah, but does the dad really have the liberty or the permission to say, you know what, son, I don't think you're ready to marry my daughter. I want you to work on these 3 things. I want you to get a job. I want you to pay off your car. I want you to, like, I want you to, whatever,
Yeah.
Stop looking at pornography before you marry my daughter. Like, we don't necessarily, the role of a dad is supposed to do that for his daughter. Right. And, pastors have become spiritual dads in a way like that, and mentors. You need to have someone be like, you know what, son, I think you got a good thing going with this girl, but I'm afraid these 3 things over here might sabotage you and your future with her. And if you really do care about her enough to want to marry her and you want to go the distance, I think it would serve you well and her well to just kind of work on these 3 things. Make sure you got self-control in these areas. Make sure you kind of got these things lined up, have some money saved, get out of debt, and then you really set yourself up for a successful future. And you're doing that because you care about her so much. And where is that arrangement in a dating? Because this is the recipe for success. Go in the same direction. Right? You have people around you, so you're not by yourself, and you're willing to wait a little bit on it and not, just go all completely off your feelings. Yeah,
that's good. Guard your heart.
That's the name for today. Good. Guard your heart. Maybe we'll do a part 2, huh? We got some
more questions. Yeah, let's do part 2. See you next week.